And here we go. It is Monday, January 13th. Dee and Larry Corchin, glad you guys are here. And no video this time. Be a little different with the inspirational moment. So take it away, Larry.
Sure. Well, guys, again, new year. I hope everybody is just having a great start to this year. And we're just so thankful for all of you guys being on tonight. As far as inspiration, every year, Dee and I, we make it an effort to kind of have books. Our kitchen table always has books on it. That's just the way it is. And in our morning, during our quiet time, we kind of go through our different books, and we just enjoy that. That's a big part of our life. But every once in a while, things start to speak to you. I'm sure you've had that. And one of the things that we're reading right now, it's by an author by the name of Bob Goff. He's an attorney by trade, but he's also just a very philanthropic guy, very active in just helping his church and helping the world in general. And he always has some great things to say. If you've ever seen this guy on video, he's kind of wacky. He's out there, but he really has great things to say. So we shared a little bit on Saturday at the event here in Atlanta. I'm just going to share a little bit more from what he just kind of resonated with us. And it's about being intentional. And every year, I'm sure, resolutions, people try to say, I'm going to be more intentional about this and live with more purpose for certain things. And he really nails it, I think, in this passage. So just bear with me as I read this to you, and I hope you enjoy it. So the title of it is, No One is Remembered for What They Just Planned to Do. Have you ever settled into bed at the end of a long day only to realize you forgot a family member's birthday? We've all experienced making the call of shame the next day, the apologies, and the reassurance that we meant to call, and that something special, very special, is on the way. We've all been told it's the thought that counts, but there's a difference between hearing someone meant to send flowers and the excitement of hearing the knock on the front door. There's a difference between a kind text message and a friend who's actually beside us when we get the phone call from the doctor with bad news. It's so much easier to love people with our intentions than to love them in real life. It's exciting to scheme ways to make the world a little more beautiful. We can Google, sorry, we're getting buzzed a lot here, so we can Google the details of our plans and tell our friends what we dreamed up. We can blog about it to raise awareness or have a Kickstarter campaign to raise money. Often, though, this is just brain candy. While it makes us feel good, it doesn't do much to move the needle in people's lives. No one is remembered for what they just planned to do. Just like great characters in films are remembered by what they do and not by what they merely think about, we're known for our actions. The power of love is in the sacrifice and commitment it requires. Sacrifice and commitment always travel with love and action. Love looks like showing up with hands to help even when we don't know what to do. Love looks like stopping by even if we don't know what to say. Simply put, love doesn't just think about it, love does it. So again, that was just something that, when we read that the other morning, we were just like, wow, it just kind of resonated with us as far as, when we look out this year, one of our goals is to be intentional. We all have words, and Dee's always twisted me. What's your word? What's your word? And I'm like, I don't have words. But this year, I kind of, I said purpose. Being purposeful was one of the things I want to do more of this year. And purposeful, hopefully, will remind me to be that way. And when we came across this, we were just kind of blown away. And we wanted to share that with you today. And again, we shared a little bit of it on Saturday. So hope you enjoyed that. And Dee, take it away.
Yeah, I think on Saturday when we talked about it, I love that. Thank you, Larry. We talked about it in terms of, he said a person goes out and acts, doesn't necessarily know what to do. They don't know what to say, what to do. And how often as a coach have you ever felt that way? You're not quite sure how to handle a situation. But so much of what we do as coaches is just showing up and being there for other people. And how do you learn, right? Just by getting out there and doing. So I just really thought that was appropriate.
Yeah, and thanks, Cassie, for putting the name of the book out there. Cassie knew the book. So again, Bob Goff, and she posted in the chat. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I think Debbie Johnson said she's reading that same book. So
Awesome.
enjoy. And so what we also like to do on every call, so we have our inspirational moment, and then we also like to have an up close and personal moment. We've got a lot of people on this call, so thank you for joining us. And everybody's in a different stage of their business. Some coaches just joined us this week. Some people are just looking at us, considering joining us. Some have been coaching for a while, and some have been coaching for a long time. And everybody's business is different. Many of us are clients first in our health journey. We're on our health journey at the same time. So tonight I'm really excited. We get to hear from Allison Eman, who I have known for many years. And Allison, I'm just going to let you unmute yourself. And if you'll share your story for us, your journey, maybe what's going well and something you're working through.
Sure. So can you guys hear me okay? I was having Zoom problems.
Okay.
So I have, Dee was my jazzercise instructor, and, I got on board with Optavia a couple years ago, and, lost my initial chunk of weight and said no to coaching a million times, like so many of you, and finally joined on last year. And I'm not going to lie, coaching has been kind of hard for me. I have a full-time job. I'm the CEO of a major venture capital conference. I report to a huge board. I have a lot of responsibilities, and I haven't been able to really throw myself into coaching. And I got several clients last year. And the funny thing is that when I'm talking to my clients and getting my clients, I love it. Like today, I spent 2 hours on calls. Okay, maybe not 2 hours, maybe it was a little less than that, but I was having a good time, doing everything and then watching the training. And I realized that, someone said last week that you got to do the work, and I'm just not doing the work. I'm not spending enough time reaching out to people, and that's been a big challenge for me. And, at the end of last year in October, I had my big conference, and then my husband and I went on our 25th anniversary cruise. And then I just sort of kept going, well, I'm just going to keep eating. I'm just going to have my cookies and my brownies and whatever. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, my jeans are too tight. This is not good. And Dee, said, yeah, I noticed you were avoiding me. And I sort of would go to the workouts and go, oh, kind of thing. But, I have gone completely back all in, down 5 pounds, just, first week, back to the happy place, eating well, sleeping good. So I think you've got to make sure for anyone that you work through things, that you keep yourself honest with your journey, your health journey, because I didn't feel like I felt like I was a crappy coach, because I was like, well, God, I gained weight. How can I not be honest with my clients? And I'm sure I wasn't the only coach and the only person that's ever gained weight back, on the program. None of us are perfect, but I think about Frank Davis, and I'm looking at you right now, like how he said, oh, we love not yet. Well, Frank, you got to help me with not yet, because I get no's and I just shut down, and get so upset. And this client this lady that I'd been following up with for 6 months, right after Dee and I were just talking a little bit ago, she commented on a post on Facebook, and I was like, here we go, I'm going to get her. And then I followed back up with her, and she goes, oh, I signed up with someone else who had talked to me before you did. I swear to you, I followed up with this woman 10 times. And she's kind of a nutcase, so it might be better off that someone else got her. But she goes, yeah, I probably should have come to you. I think you would have been a better coach. And I was like, oh, okay. But, the bottom line is that, I'm excited for, where I am now. My husband's sitting here with me. We went to the convention this year, and I want to build this, and I need to build it because I want the extra income to help with college money for my daughter. And I know you guys see, I comment on things on the Eat, Live, and Be Optavia, and I try to be out there, but, I need more tips on how you guys are so open and good about sharing everything, because I feel like that's kind of one of my struggles. But if someone comes to me, I can close it, I can keep them as a client, but I have trouble getting them to say yes. So just being honest.
All right, let's show Allison some love there in the comments. It's not easy to be honest. And Allison and I, we've known each other a long time. So thank you for sharing. And the most important thing, I think the most important message is there's always a direct correlation, right? So when we're integrated with our health, our business, we're more integrated with the business. And when your health started slipping some, you started pulling away with the business. So, we're all clients too. So I've just learned and known myself, the further away I get from my mentorship and coaching, the further away I get from my goals. So that is just a reminder to all of us. But the other thing is, and I heard Dr. A say this one time, we had a presidential director on stage was sharing her story, and she had a lot of struggles along the way, and she was mentored directly from Dr. A. And the way she described it, she said, sometimes I would get down, I would get off track, and whatever. And she said, and I felt like Optavia and Dr. A, it was like I was water skiing and I had let go of the rope. And then here came the motorboat back around with the rope ready to pick me up again. So I think that's the great thing about Optavia is that, whatever may happen or life may happen to you or whatever, that the door is always open here and we can always pick up and move forward, and everything is a journey. That's your physical health as well as the business.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it takes, again, being intentional and, setting priorities. I think excuse me, I mentioned, back in one of my LinkedIn posts, there was a doctor out there and talking about triaging, and making sure we triage our lives. Well, again, that's important. That's an important part of what we do. So triaging things is staying accountable to the things that we really want to accomplish, and then moving on and working with your mentorship team.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Allison. And so with it being January, we thought it's a great time to maybe spend some time. We won't necessarily do it every week, but just start inputting a little bit more of our basic skills, our little basic skills training. And we have a lot of great resources available to us, and they get updated periodically. And we have new coaches joining us. So we thought this was just a really opportune time. And I've been really wanting to take some time to go over this new health assessment and the training from Bekah Tinter. So if you watched it and you learned something from it, just put like a 1 in the comments, just so we can get a feel for how many of you guys actually had the opportunity. I know we're all busy. Awesome. Awesome. Lots of 1s coming in. So good. Thank you for investing in that. I've been coaching, Larry's been coaching, we've been coaching for a while. And I feel like our tools keep getting better and better. And the training keeps getting better and better. And so I learn every single time. I could hear the same thing. I could probably listen to it again tomorrow and hear something I didn't hear today. So I just wanted to point out a few things that really stood out to me, but I want to have some time for your questions if possible. Then I do have a coach that is going to share with us as well. But what do you think? I mean, if some of you guys who I coach with directly or have done listen to like the Habit Finder training, when we do a health assessment, why is it so important that we do that health assessment and we start with questions for them? Like rather than just jumping in and telling about the program, why is it so important that we ask them questions? What is it that we are really looking for? You can unmute if you know the answer. Carol Schaefer? Got unmute. Can you see it?
I think that what I really picked up about that was people love to share things and talk about themselves. And I have to learn to listen better. So when we ask them the questions, we have the opportunity to mirror back, which I've noticed immediately how she mirrored everything that was said to her, which is the best way you can ever work a health assessment or any kind of health thing like what I do in the office. And I do health assessments come very easy to me. It's getting people to sign on sometimes that isn't, but her mirroring and her giving credibility to what he wanted was really clear in that health assessment.
Yep, absolutely. Making it more about him, right? Like she wasn't in like, hurry up, let me just, get to my part so I can tell you about this. But really understanding him and a way that the why has been explained to me in a way that I really understand is really getting to their pain. Really getting to what is it that they are unhappy with and why do they want to change it? What will life be like when they don't have to deal with that anymore? And because it's real easy, and I know early on I would be this might be or may not be you, but I would be so nervous about a health assessment. And what was I going to say? That they might say, I want to lose 20 pounds. And my first answer is, yes, I can help them do that, But the question is, we know this is a journey. It's going to be hard for them. So we need to really get to know what is it about that losing 20 pounds. Dig it deeper. And I thought that, listening to Daniel Giles, it was funny. I felt like sometimes he was spoon feeding her. Like it was really like he was just kind of handing her the answers. Which was perfect. But those are the kinds of things. The reason I think they did that, because that was a role play, was I really think that they wanted to really show us that's what we want to get to. The fact that he was embarrassed at work, that he was sluggish, that he needed, he didn't want to have to take a nap. He wanted to be more fully present with his family. And knowing that pain point is really when we then deliver the program, and Bekah did that so well, we can deliver it to what his needs are, and use language that's going to fit that. But also when the struggle bus hits, which it always does if they come on program, we have that information. And then if they're not ready yet, we have that information. So was that helpful for you guys to hear that, how she went through it and what we were really getting at? Good.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, he was a successful, corporate person, so I mean, a lot of times I think, we see corporate people and we're like, oh, they're too busy, or they've got it all figured out, or, they might be a little too pushy or not, have the patience. But again, he was hurting. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, in corporate America, they're just on this fast pace, one pace, and it's just going near them, and things are just passing them by. And again, it's about, not just their health, but regrets as well. He wanted to spend time with his kids too and have quality time with his kids. So yeah, I thought that was really good.
And I don't know if you noticed it or not. I mean, Bekah was not intimidated by him at all, right? Like Bekah takes her role as a professional health coach very seriously. She knew she's the expert in that category. She's doing her role as a coach by asking those questions. And I think sometimes we might be intimidated, exactly like Larry said, with a professional business person or something, that we don't want to be digging deep with them, but they have a need. And we have what can help them. So I thought that was really good. I also noticed Bekah rarely used the word I. So to follow up on what Carol was saying, even when he would say some stuff, she didn't say like, I understand, or I have felt that. She would just repeat what he said back to him, or she might say, I've heard that from other people, or I've heard that from other clients, but she didn't bring her story into it at all. And even when she did her story, it was really short. And she kind of tapped into what he said, but it was really short. She made the whole health assessment all about him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
nobody, I don't think anybody intimidates Bekah, by the way. So she's aces. She's unbelievable.
That's right. He said once or twice, I thought this was interesting. Once or twice he had said he had tried a lot of things and he wasn't sure if this would work. And I think he said something like, I'll try it. And I thought she was really good the way she responded, because she didn't say like, well, no, Daniel, like this has got to be a lifelong commitment. You got to be all in. She was basically like, well, we can work with that. She was just really, we can work with that as a starting place. So I thought she responded that well. And I also thought, if you haven't, I'm going to post it in the, when I post this recording, I'm going to post a link to the actual health assessment that she went through, and also the script of the 4 components, because honestly, it had been a long time since I had listened to the script, and she read it word for word about the health coach, the transformation system, the community, and the eating plan.
Yep.
And it was so concise. And I'm wondering sometimes if we just get chatty about, has anybody over talked through the 4 components? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was definitely worth listening to. And then she mentioned about being a coach right away to him. Did you catch that? She'd asked him who might want to do the program with him. And then she also talked about the fact that he would probably want to be a coach. And remember, he was a corporate executive, you know, a 9, liked his job. He was a 9. We can only assume he was doing really well, but he was really stressed. And so she said, well, you've mentioned you have a great job that you like, but you're stressed. So that's something that we can explore. And I just want to share with you, I was actually I sat next to Daniel Giles at Sundance at lunch, nicest guy in the world.
It's funny.
I could listen to that accent all day. But, you know, he came on board as a coach. And not only did he come on board as a coach, he's now an integrated presidential director with his wife. But I want to point out, Bekah Tinter is not his coach. His coach is, you know, somewhere way down the line, and just somebody like us who, you know, had that conversation with him, invited him to coaching, and he crossed that line. So,
yeah, no, he's a sharp guy, and again, him and his wife, they just went in, and it was about family health. It was about taking care of themselves, and a lot of it, I think, when we talked to him, was mindset. You know, his mind was just, you know, all about work, and just in that circle that just we get into, and we see a lot of people in that they just can't get off that hamster, you know, wheel. So anyway.
So I want to take a minute now and have one of our coaches share with us, because one of the most common things I hear from coaches, and especially newer coaches, is that very often we are in situations that people start asking us about the program before we can even get to the health assessment. You know, there's like, what's it called? What is it? Tell me more about your program.
How much money? How
much does it cost? And there's a real reason why we go through this process. There's a real flow to it, but it's extremely important. So I want to have Executive Director Susan Giesland get on with us. Susan, are you there? Can you unmute?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. So Susan and I have been coaching for a long time together, and Susan is phenomenal at the health assessment, client acquisition, client support. Like, she is the queen, but she does a great job of every conversation flows to the health assessment. So Susan, we talked a little bit this afternoon, but can you just kind of make, maybe give us some examples of what does it sound like when you respond to those questions, and how do you move it so that we can actually do the health assessment with somebody?
Well, a lot of times if somebody, like say you're at a social event or you're at a networking event or something, and people want to come up and ask you for the details, you know, how much does it cost, and what is it about, and all of that. And I have found, and all of this I got through the training that we received through Optavia, but what works is sort of turning it around and asking the questions. And some of the responses I've given, well, it depends on what you're looking for. You know, can we schedule a phone conversation? It's more than just a one phrase answer to it, because it's very individualized. Our programs are, you know, very individualized, and it's as a result of a series of questions. So very often I'll try to schedule a phone call with them. And then one of the things I like to ask them is, you know, where does your curiosity stem from? Is this something that you are looking for, or do you have somebody else in mind? Because that's an important question to find out, because if they're just trying to find out, you know, the details, we all know that it depends on what they're looking for. And it depends on what their medical considerations are. You know, they might be 5 and 1, they might be 4 and 2, they might be 3 and 3, they might be nursing, who knows? But it takes that conversation. And so I try to make it more, what is it? I try to ask those questions. What are you looking for? And go from there and make it more of a conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. I totally agree. And I don't know, I just want to throw this out there because it might be helpful to somebody. And I think, Susan, you agreed. I don't even call it a health assessment with somebody. Like, I don't say, well, hey, we really need to sit down and do a health assessment so we can determine what program you have. I try to keep it much more flowing and relaxed. And I'm like, cool, like, I would love to talk to you. I would love to hear about your goals. We got to probably have a couple different options. So when would be a good time for us to catch up about that? Personally, I think the word health assessment can sound a little formal with them. I mean, it certainly has a level of professionalism to it, but I find it just flows really nice if I just kind of make it sound like, well, cool, like, I'd love to talk to you. So if you find like you're struggling getting over that hump of getting somebody to the health assessment, maybe that will help if you just had a little change in language. If what you're doing now is working beautifully, stick to it.
I like health assessment, but anyway, it's me.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. So we have a couple of minutes. So I'd love to take your comments or questions. Something you saw in the training, something you've been working through, questions for Susan. Feel free just to unmute.
I have.
Good,
Go ahead.
Elaine?
Elaine?
No, go ahead, whoever's first. I can say something first. I really loved how she did the pricing at the end. You know, she basically went right into, okay, it sounds like this is going to be great for you. You know, this is a perfect fit. You're ready to go. Let's go ahead and sign you up. You know, I mean, she just basically went like that and didn't even phase, you know, in the pricing until he said, well, what do you know, how much is it? And then she said, well, you know, a lot of people find this is just cost neutral. And, you know, you're probably already spending, or I think he even said something about, you know, well, I go out to lunches and everything, so I'm already spending X dollars. And so, yeah, it sounds like it'll be perfect for me. I really liked how she did that. Because that's one part that I struggle with is as soon as I get to that, I can almost feel like the heat coming, you know, so I really like how she did that. You know, just another thing for me to think about how to present it.
Yeah, I think it's all in the delivery of it and also in the confidence of the program that, you know what, it really is priced well. Most people save because we just know what average statistics are for people. And there's something about having that confidence, you know, whether you're talking about the fuel lanes or talking about the price, just when you have that confidence in it, it's just going to come out the way that Bekah talked about it.
Yeah, you know, that's the one thing we always have to kind of, it's hard to say, but we have to kind of check our opinions sometimes at the door. You know, it depends on how we grew up. You know, we may think it's expensive, and that in the back of our mind is there, but you'd be surprised. It comes out in our conversation. It comes out in our tone or the way we present things. So again, we don't know. Some people, I mean, I've had people not even blink. And then other people you would think would never, you know, even question or are asking me 50 questions about the pricing. So again, I think we can't prejudge, and we have to set our own opinions aside on certain things. So good point, Elaine. Thank you. Other questions?
Somebody else was going to speak a minute ago. Gina?
I was looking for, when I was listening to the training, I was looking for keywords. And I agree with you about going back to the written script. There were some things that she said, it was like, oh yeah. But one of the things that I really loved was, you've tried diets. This is a lifestyle approach.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked that phrase, because it was succinct.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah, it's so true. How many times do we just do this? But that's all that needs to be said. Really good. Really good. All right, there's a question here. After you've done the health assessment, how soon do you follow up if they're going to think about it? That's good. What I do is I asked them, I said, okay, great. You know, you want to take some time to think about it? That's great. When would be a good time for me to follow up with you? I usually ask them, and I'm usually surprised at how soon it is. That they'll usually say, you know, that, you know, if today's Monday, they might say, well, let me know, think about it till Friday. And I always offer, I'm like, if there's anything, if any questions come to mind, or if you decide you're ready to get going before that, let's go ahead and talk. Just shoot me a text and we'll connect. So I always put it in a positive spin, like I think they're going to go on program. So, you know, if you have any more questions or if you decide you're ready, let's go. So I usually ask them, but if they don't, like if I did the health assessment today, after the health assessment, I would send them a thank you with a little summary. And this is actually in the health assessment script, which I'll post, but I would just send them a little thank you and say, hey, I think this would really be a great fit for you based on insert whatever it was they told you, that is their why. And then put them in my follow-up folder. And I usually follow up on Friday. So I would go ahead and follow up this Friday and start my first follow-up with them this Friday.
Yeah, I would also, you know, I know you guys get this question. Well, I have to check with my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always, you know, again, an area that you want to follow up, but also it's a great opportunity to ask the question and say, what do you think your spouse's concerns might be? All right. And that question right there may open them up to, well, we're concerned about money, right? And you may be able to address the money question right there. May be concerned my spouse may need to do the program with me, and I don't know. And so it's a great way to open up the conversation a little bit and help them. So when they go to have that conversation with their spouse, they go to it hopefully educated enough to have that conversation with them and answer some of the questions they're anticipating.
All right, that is our time for tonight. If you would, we can continue the conversation in our Facebook group when I post the recording on this. Happy to have conversation there around it. Thank you guys for coming tonight, being on the call. We do have Dr. A's call, and then coach training, and the option to be on Dr. Dan Bell's call.
Yep.
And did want to thank everybody who was able to attend our Atlanta event. It was epic, you guys. We had like 133 people there. Thank you to the volunteers who helped make that happen. It doesn't happen alone. So thank you for that. We're getting great feedback in terms of people signing on to be coaches and clients as a result of the energy that you guys brought to that meeting.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same. Just a great event on Saturday, and just encourage all of you guys to just continue to get your clients, and of course for your education, get to events. They're so helpful. So that's it. That's a wrap.
All right, we'll see you in a week.
Love you
Thanks,
guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.